Hi everyone, my name is Milesh Joshi. I'm here with my friend Trevor Dale. I'm doing an interview because we wanted to talk about this big run that Trevor's doing. But before I get into that, the reason why I even wanted to do it in this format is because Trevor is probably one of the most amazing people I've ever met. And the amazing thing about him is that he doesn't know how amazing he is. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the things that he's done. Like, you're vegan.
Yeah. 95%.
Birthday cakes is your cheat?
That's my cheat.
Okay. You did a 75K run last year?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay. You did? Okay, so I got this book. I'm trying to do triathlons now. I'm doing triathlons now. Trevor gave me this book and was just like nonchalantly passed it to me. He's done a book review on the book itself. Didn't even really mention that. I just had to look at it and find it myself. This kind of adds to like the layers of how amazing he is. He did, what was this? You went to some race that you go to every year, like this motocross or something?
Yeah, the Canadian Superbike weekend at Mossport.
Okay.
It was really fun. Did it just this past weekend.
So the weekend previous to this, he did 2,000 push-ups just for fun while he's there with his friends. And
last year when I was at the bike race, yeah.
And he stopped doing it because your friends got bored of watching you do push-ups?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, so he only got to 2,000 that day.
Yeah.
Talk about your morning rituals. What time do you wake up in the morning?
Anywhere between 3:30 and 5:30. 5:30 is really late for me.
Get out, seriously?
I feel like my whole day is thrown off if I'm not up before 5:30.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, so this makes me feel like crap. But so these are just some of the amazing things. Like, I don't even know. Like, he throws me nuggets every day of like little things that he's done in the past that just like blow my mind. But this run that you're about to do has got me so inspired, and I really want to share this with everyone. I want everyone to see you in this light. I want everybody to kind of experience this as you experience it as well. Talk about your run. What are you doing?
So the run is a run starting in Newmarket in Ontario, going around Lake Simcoe and ending all the way back. So it's a complete loop. It's about 108 miles or 175 kilometers. And the goal is to do it consecutive, without stopping. So it'll be run and walk and stop to eat and refuel and resupply. But it'll be done without sleeping or breaking up into segments. So 175 kilometers straight.
Wow. So I would never have ever thought about doing something like this. Like, what made you even want to do this?
I guess there's two things. One of them, I set new quarterly goals for myself every quarter. One in my physical, one in sort of spirituality, one in my relationships with my wife and my kids, one in business. Every quarter, the reset. And so I had done other physical challenges, and I wanted something that was endurance-based, that was bigger than who I currently was, that was going to force me to become a bigger person and a different person that I would have to grow to become that. Because not only would I just have to learn to run a really far distance, but I'd have to learn how to set up the coordination of it and all the project stuff that goes along with it, the communication with it, making sure my family's understanding and that they're not going to worry and that they feel that there's enough preparation and planning in place. And then the other thing too is that I decided to pick this because it's a local feature. I've had family along all sides of the lake. My in-laws have a cottage up in Aurelia, so that's the top part of the lake. I live near the bottom part of the lake. I used to live on the east side, with family on the west side, and so I drive up both sides of the lake all the time. And I said, rather than drive around it, why don't I just run around it? And I think that would be a cool local feature to say, you know what, I've run around the entire Lake Simcoe. I think it'd be a lot of fun. So.
Okay, interesting. So for me, if I heard somebody, and this is really selfish of me too, because like the more I learn about you, the more I love you. And like, I'm going to take this opportunity to get to know everything that I can about you and ask all the questions that I want to ask. But if I heard somebody ran 175K, I'd be like, okay, great. This person's like probably a great athlete. I would never put myself in a position where I think, hey, maybe I could do that. Right. But I think that when we go into who you are and how you got here, it makes you seem more human. And it makes me feel like I could do something like that. So let's take that back. Like, can we talk about what you've done in terms of like physical endurance up to this point and what's kind of helped you get here?
Yeah. So I've only done, last year I did a part of the route and it was 75 kilometers. But prior to that, the longest I'd run was 25 kilometers. And I wasn't training much before it. Last year when I did the 75K, it was in May, so I hadn't done a whole lot of training heading into the winter, and then I set myself the goal because it's a quarterly challenge. So I only had 5 weeks to prepare for it, and just said, you know what, I'm going to train. I'm going to learn along the way. And I injured myself because I overtrained it without giving enough rest. But I had to course correct and figure out how to get it done, and ended up getting a long run in for 75K. But before that, I hadn't done it, and I guess the physical stuff has always been a part of my life, but it's not. I'm not an elite athlete by any chance. I'm not someone that's gotten huge accolades for physical. I enjoy it. It's a part of who I am. But I've had a period in my life when I actually didn't do much working out, and I would get winded walking up the stairs in Union Station, going home at the end of the night because I just sat at my desk all day and we ate garbage food and worked long hours, and my health was suffering. So I decided to get back into shape and then go that route. So it's just sort of an evolution since then to really get back into better shape.
Okay. So you said that we talked about this previously, about the 75K run that you did off camera. But can you explain what your experience was like there? What happened there that kind of surprised you?
It was a long run. I was out for 11 hours. I had been training in snow and hail and a lot of really cold temperatures for all of my training prior to that. And then that day it was 32 degrees. So it was a lot different than I was expecting. And I kept running out of water because I didn't have any support on that run. The only time I met up with people was after 44 kilometers. And then another 6 or 7 hours later, I met up with more people. So it was largely unsupported. I kept running out of water, food. The heat was so strong that my stomach was turning, and I wasn't prepared for having to consume calories. So that was a lot of the struggles. There was a lot of concern for my family. They were planning to be with me overnight to make sure that I was safe. But when they saw me, they were concerned. So that was learning how to deal with other people, because people love me and they want me to stay safe. Like, my family loves me and they want me to be safe, and they want to make sure that I'm okay. So they have concerns about me doing a run or doing that run. And even in the moment when I'm trying to complete something, they just wanted me to be safe. And so I can fully appreciate what they wanted out of that. When that was for me to come home.
Mm-hmm.
So after 75K, it was, I decided to go home because I wanted to. There was a lot to it, but I ultimately decided to go home after 75K. So, but this year is a lot different. We have an entire team supporting us to make sure that all the average team here is just they're going to join. We've got resupply. People are going to run parts of it. You might run part of it with me.
100%. When I say that, I'm really inspired by what you're doing. I really am. Like, I truly mean that. So I've been running more since you told me about this run. Something that you said really kind of is interesting to me. If I was in your position and I wasn't getting supplied and I was running out of water and food, I would definitely be quitting out of fear. Did that ever happen to you? Were you scared at all?
I had my concerns, but I was more focused on doing as much as I could. Mm-hmm. I think, I wouldn't. There wasn't really a point when I was wanting to quit so much because of food or water. I knew that I could go, and I knew it was humanly possible, but was it Trevor possible? And so was I holding myself back from accomplishing it? And I think that's a lot of it, is what I tell myself and how I hold myself back.
So you did 75 and you stopped because family wanted you to stop, pretty much.
There was a lot of them, unfortunately. They're great. Don't get me wrong. Like, they're very supportive, but a lot of people all the support team was asking, you know what, maybe we should call it a day. And you've come a long way. You should be proud of that. Maybe we should call it a day. Everybody was scared. So, so it was,
What was the initial goal? So you said you did 75. How far did you want to go?
All the way around. So 175, that was the goal originally. So this year I'm. with a support crew. So in case anything happens, someone's there to monitor and get resupply. So hopefully I don't run out of water. And, and it'll be fun to do it with people and more social. And last year I just sort of said, hey, I'm running this. And I just went out and trained for it and then ran it. And then, but this year is a little bit different where there's more people involved. We just talk about it. People are going to run different parts of it. I think it'll be very fun. I've started running in groups of different people. It's just fun to be social with it. So I really enjoy that.
So one of the things that really surprises me is that I know that if I was to do a run like this, I would probably tell a lot of people and like advertise it and publicize it. But for you, like you just trained yourself. You didn't tell anybody about it. You just went on this run and did it. This is just more of a personal goal, and you didn't really care about any of the accolades or anything that go with it.
I was posting on Facebook to say, hey, here's what I'm done. And I'd say on Sunday, I'm like, hey, I've just done another 45 or 50 kilometer run in preparation for my run on this day, and I'm running it. So I would let my friends on Facebook know.
Okay.
That was my group as far as I told them, and the people I talked to that, friends and family that I talked to. So, but that was about it.
Okay. So one of the things that I find really interesting is that you do all these things. Like when I see your agenda and like what you do and your time schedule for the day, seems just immense. Like you're taking on more of a workload than most people do in a day, or maybe even a couple days. And I find it amazing. But then I found it even more amazing that like a part of your morning ritual is to send a message to each one of your children, and like how you're able to incorporate your family into all of it. Like talk about that a little bit. Like talk about how you are able to balance your personal and your business life.
Yeah, I look at it as even. So business is important. Obviously, this run is important for me physically, but my family is equally important. So every morning, I'll send a note to my wife, just telling her how I love, honor, or respect her, or appreciate her, and just every day, I just try to send her a note to take a few minutes to actually think about how appreciative I am of having her in my life, and it lets her know that I'm thinking about her, and it's practice for me to just constantly appreciate and reflect and be grateful and have gratitude towards the people in my life. And I do the same thing for my kids. I write them a physical note as well. So that's just as something, they have a big stack now of notes that I've written over the last couple of years. So.
Yeah.
And then, of course, doing things together or having goals in terms of a physical goal, but then having one where we're pushing our family forward too. So one of the quarters was having our wills and power of attorney done, make sure that that's up to date. Another one was go on a trip together. So those things to make sure that we're getting the household in order or enjoying it, and making sure that that's pushing forward as well is really important, because I don't want to be dropping any balls and letting them go, or doing these great physical things at their expense.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that they benefit as I grow, just as I benefit when they grow. So.
And how old are they?
I have a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old son.
Okay.
Both of them are boys.
Their names?
Yeah, Owen and Nathan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do they feel about this? Like, do they understand like what you're doing? Do they?
We haven't really talked about it much. They saw me last year because I was running a lot, so I'd drop them off and I'd run to work and I'd run back. So they'd know that I was running a lot for it, and there was a lot more. The schedule was different, so the older son, he knew. The younger one didn't know, but they know a bit. But this year, I've just talked to him last week, and he knows a bit that I'm going to do it, but doesn't understand a whole lot about it.
Okay.
So, or that I know of. He probably understands a lot more than I realize.
Just curious, how did you become a financial advisor, mortgage broker? Like, what was the steps? Like, I know that you were in the Army for a little bit, but I didn't really know what you did there. Can you kind of chat about like the evolution of Trevor to this point?
Sure. Yeah, it was. I was anytime I go into a church when I was younger, there's these plaques on a wall, and every time I'd see it, it was someone had donated a large amount of money and their path in life. They always talked about it, how they had done engineering, and then they went into the Army or the military of some branch, and then they started their own company, made a lot of money, and left a legacy behind them. And so I see this over and over and over again, and it was a different era, but I saw that as a very successful path. So as I was going through high school, I realized, and I started constructing this life plan for myself, that in order to do this, I'd have to have those 3 things in place: military, engineering, and run my own company. And so when I was doing that, I joined the Army Reserves because I was actually hoping to be a pilot in the Air Force, but I didn't get into the Royal Military College. And I knew that being part of the Army Reserves would help. Mm-hmm. So I did reconnaissance in there, and I was trained. I never did a tour. And
what does that mean?
What's that?
reconnaissance? What is
Reconnaissance. So reconnaissance is basically like if the battle line is here and we're opposing forces, and reconnaissance there and the battle line is here. Reconnaissance. The whole purpose is to travel over into enemy territory and report back information so that you can call in airstrikes, launch artillery, send in new forces, report back on advancing forces that are coming towards you if there's any reinforcements. So it's just really sort of being the eyes and the ears of the brigade as they sort of advance or are in operation. So you're really just it's hide and seek, basically.
So you're a ninja. Even cooler than what I thought.
I walk very quietly and I scare a lot of people by accident. I don't mean to, so I intentionally walk loud. So
that's funny. Okay, yeah. So then what happened after? So how long did you do that for?
3 years, and I did that while I was in high school and university, and then I went into aerospace engineering for school, and then
whoa.
Yeah. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I couldn't write an essay for the life of me. I didn't get English. I didn't understand why the color red should have means this or that. And it wasn't I didn't appreciate it. It was very, I just didn't get it. I couldn't put it together. And so I did 2 years in engineering, but I realized I actually hated doing math for a living. I sort of looked forward and said, is this what I want to do for my life? And there was an advanced algebra class, and going through it. So they give you one question. It takes about 3 pages to actually solve that question.
Oh my God.
I got to the end of the 3rd page and I look up, I'm like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And so I switched over. I finished in political science, which was 100% essay writing. Mm-hmm. And so I was writing these huge essays, and I really honed in on my ability to express myself through written word. And so that was one of the things. And so expression, military, single mom, a lot of time alone. Expression of thoughts and feelings wasn't a big thing, and I think that's why I struggled in English so much, was expressing that. So with political science, I really got to dive into that because that's all that we did. And then so after university, I went to the bank branch, and then I went to the bank's trading floor where I was working with hedge funds and pension funds. So I traded foreign exchange. I worked with stocks, bonds, options, mutual fund or swaps, you name it. And then after that, I went to a hedge fund management company. I was chief compliance officer and the director of client services and also portfolio manager there.
Okay.
So from there, I made the jump to build my own company, where now what I do is help people out with their wealth. So whether it be their investments, I run discretionary money management. So we talk about what you need, and then I just do the trading automatically to keep things up to date with the markets, which is sort of different than going in and signing off every time you need something changed in your portfolio. So it's automatically kept up to date. Life insurance, do the same thing, broker, independent. And then on the mortgage side with iBridge Capital, I'm a mortgage agent, so we can go to many different lenders and just be independent and provide lots of different solutions. So it's that total wealth conversation around the assets, the liabilities, and the risk management. And just that financial planning, that financial advisory. So.
Everything you do is like superhuman, man. Even like most people would just be like a mortgage broker or a life insurance agent or like, a financial advisor, and you're doing all 3 of these things. So I don't know. I don't know why I continue to get surprised by like the things that you do. But thank you for indulging me. Like it's really cool just to see me. Like I'm a father myself, so I'd love to see like hearing about like your family, how you bring that into the fold, how you balance their life out. It's like I'm a very driven individual, so I'd love to see what you're doing with the business side of things. I love hearing your past and where you came from. And you touched on something that I really wasn't aware of. You mentioned that like you came from like your mom was a single mother.
Yeah.
But it kind of struck something with me. And you mentioned that for this run, you're going to have a sponsor.
Yeah. And
it's going to be going to a charity. Can you chat a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. But thanks for saying that stuff. It's not. I just try to get by day to day. I think like everybody else. I feel like I'm doing anything different or special, except I have a bit of a formula. But but thanks. And
cheers.
The charity. So as I mentioned, I'm a single mom. I didn't really have a consistent male role model in my life, and one of the things that my mom did is she sought that out, and one of the ways that she did that was through Big Brothers and Big Sisters. There's a program out there, and what they do is they set up a young male with a male. So when I was younger, I had a man who was actually a pharmaceutical doctor, but he was not married, and at the time, I think it's still the same, where you can't be married or have kids. And then so what happens is that he will be a role model to me and spend time with me, and it was amazing because he just showed me just a different way that people live lives. So we're so exposed to our families so much, but he showed me a different way. Mm-hmm. And he was a very incredibly consistent, incredibly generous. Gave me time. He was patient, and just allowed me to talk through so much. And we just spent a lot of time together, just being together and understanding how a man can grow up and just a different way of life. And it was such an amazing impact for me because I realized that whatever I'm in, it's not always forever. And so he just gave me different options to see how life can be. Mm-hmm. It was really great. I always appreciated it, and I don't know how to pay him back. But what I do know how to do is hopefully give exposure to the Big Brothers and Big Sisters programs, because if I can do that, then and help them be more successful, hopefully they can be a big impact in other people's lives like they were to me. And so just being so grateful for it, I never really knew how to give back or how I could contribute. And I think this is a great opportunity just to let people know that, as I watched someone else lead in their life, that now as I become older, I can lead in my life and help other people grow up as well. So those young boys and girls really benefit from having that role model and influence in their lives.
That's amazing. I'm so ignorant to that because I think most people grow up with two parents that they don't really think about what would happen if you don't have two parents. And I've heard of Big Brothers, but I didn't realize that they impacted people so deeply. Like, what, do you still keep in touch with your big brother?
Not anymore, no. Okay. He moved out to Nova Scotia, and then he moved out to another province after that. And so we don't keep in touch, but it's amazing that I still think of him regularly, even though I haven't seen him in a lot of years. Mm-hmm. So I still wonder what he's up to and everything. So it's pretty amazing. Profound impact for sure.
Tina kind of mentioned this to me before as well, and she said that you haven't told your big brother that you're doing this run?
No. Yeah, we haven't chatted, and I would at some point like to say, you know what, I gave back. You gave to me, and I gave back to somebody else to help them. I would, just to let them know that the impact that it left on me, because I don't know any other way to express how much of an impact he left on my life.
I think this is an amazing way to express that. Good for you. Well, okay. I'm just falling into more deeply in love with you. Like with every question I'm asking, this is getting ridiculous. Okay, so like I said before, this run is like super inspirational. I love it. Who do you look to for inspiration? Like where do you get that from? Where do you draw upon?
So in like an inspiration to currently, like where I get my inspiration, or what do you mean in terms of which inspiration?
You can talk about multiple inspirations, I guess. Like for me, I look up to you. Like it's somebody that inspires me to be better, right? Yeah. Who in your life now inspires you to be better?
I think there's a program called Wake Up Warrior. So those guys are all about owning who you are and not hiding. And I think really the minute I realized that I had to be so brutally honest and critical of myself, I just was able to do so much more. But I was actually gifted a book, Living with a SEAL by Jesse Itzler. And there's a Navy SEAL that goes and moves in with Jesse for, I think, at least 30 days. And so David Goggins is the Navy SEAL, and he lives with an intensity that few live with, and constantly lives with that fire. And it was shown in the book that when he moves in with them, how intense life can actually be and function and not be overwhelmed or tired from it. Because listening to interviews afterwards with Jesse Itzler, he was saying we closed every single deal that he went into. It was like, well, how do you do that when you're running twice a day and doing hundreds of push-ups all the time, and you're constantly moving, and he's spending time with his family, and he's still putting in the full work day, and he's still working with David Goggins. He's like, the intensity level was so high that you couldn't not close them. And that's why he was closing it. Like everything was working out so well in that time frame. And he said, what did you do after he left? He's like, I couldn't keep up with the intensity. I just had to sit back. And that was really left an impact, because the book showed me that I'm limiting myself so much, but it's up to me to keep up that level of intensity. And so that as an inspiration, and I see, David Goggins even to today, he's still pushing that intensity level even after heart surgeries, and he's still doing these amazing things. I just find I owe it to myself and the people around me, my family, that I have to keep up that intensity level for them, because I don't want to come home tired at the end of the day and just want to veg out. I'm like, no, I'm home for them now. This is their time to interact with me. I need to give them my full. I need to be my best. So I can't just come back and relax. I have to try and be up as much as I can. Mm-hmm. So that inspires me to keep up the intensity level no matter what. And whether it's 3:30 in the morning out for a run, or super late night run, or working late all night long, if that's what it takes, or getting up with the kids in the middle of the night, it doesn't matter. It's keeping up that intensity level that that they deserve.
Mm-hmm. So. You kind of answered my question, or it segued into my next question, which is, what do you hope to achieve? Like you said that you wanted to get inner confidence, but is there anything else that you're looking to get out of this?
I think it's just learning how to accomplish this task that's bigger than who I am, and learning how to bridge that to the other areas of my life. So if I can put something this big that is out of reach, and it's not a part of who I am prior to this, and I can make it become who I am today, I'm growing as a person. If I can do this mammoth thing inside my physicality and my mentality in order to get this done, can I also bring that to my family and that level of intensity, and bring this, just really level up my game in not only my physicality, my mentality, but my family, and also in business too, because I have large business aspirations, and I want to be able to make sure I can bridge that lesson between all the different areas. Mm-hmm. I think that's just a lot of it.
So I was waiting for you to say that, like, you're hoping to potentially inspire others when you do something like this, because you've already inspired me and a lot of the other guys in the office, but I realized that that's just a Trevor answer. You're never going to be looking to inspire other people. You're just doing this because you want to do this, and I love that about you. But I think I know I said that was going to be my last question, but this is the last question, and it just kind of came to me. Are you scared? Like, I see you as a superhuman, but you still must have fears. Like, are you worried that you're not going to complete the 175K run?
It's a mix of no doubt and complete doubt. I've no doubt that I can actually do it, but on the same hand, I'm terrified that I won't be able to, especially having people around. Mm-hmm. I don't want to let anybody down saying, I can do this is possible, and then all of a sudden I don't complete it. And I think that would be the worst outcome for me. Okay. And I know that I can do it physically. It's possible. Mentally, it's challenging. And so as long as I'm staying hydrated and keep my nutrition up, I should be able to get through it. And I think, when it comes down to it, my biggest concern is safety of others and people around me. When it's just me, I don't have to worry about other people and their safety. When it's other people around, the biggest thing I'm afraid of is that, there's danger out there, or that there's a safety issue on the course that I'm running and someone else gets hurt. Like, that would be a nightmare for me. And so I want to make sure that everybody is safe and gets back. Okay. No problem.
You, you did this run before. That was 75K and you did it by yourself. Do you feel that you're more motivated having other people around you? Do you think that gives you more motivation to complete this?
I think that's sort of a scary thing. On the one hand, I'm enlightened by you guys, everybody out here saying, you know what, I just completed 5K. When you go out and do your run, I'm going to try and do 10. Or I'm going to try and push myself a little bit. I see you pushing yourself, and I'm going to push myself. I think that's so amazing. It's humbling to say, you know what, other people, that's more inspiring to me, because I'm like, if they can push their limits of what they think, then I can push my limits. Mm-hmm. But motivation-wise, I want to make sure that I'm doing it for myself, because the internal motivation is what's going to keep me going. If I'm doing it for other people, then when things get really tough, and I know they will, it's not going to be enough. I have to do it for myself. So having that external motivation is going to get me through it. It has to come from within. Mm-hmm. And I think just staying focused on myself and why I'm doing this, and knowing what it means to me and my life and all the people that I impact, that's the way to go. So it's sort of starting from within and branching out rather than sort of having motivation come from out, going within.
That's an amazing answer. Okay. Well, that's all the questions I have for you today. I love this interview. I know I'm going to look back and I'm going to think back and reflect on this interview, and it's going to give me a lot of inspiration to do things and mimic some of the things that you're doing and take what you're doing in your life and inspire me to be better. And I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you being like a part of the team and like having somebody like you around all the time, because it's just amazing. So
I'm just grateful to be part of it. We're all the same. It's amazing. Like, it's such a great team, and for you to be here to want to talk with me and to ask questions and document and share what we're doing. It's just so amazing to be part of what we're all doing. So it's great. Thanks.
Thanks again. Good to see you again. We'll see you after the run. We're going to be doing another interview, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be really, really fun. I can't wait to see how you feel after you've completed this and getting your perspective and picking your brain about your experience through it. So
that's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun for us all.
Yeah, looking forward to it.